Moving on, we talk PLEs in the sense of Ross felt special this week. Well, AEW couldn't be outdone to making Dynamite feel special this week. And they couldn't be outdone knowing the fact that in 2 weeks, WWE is going to put on War Games. It's a Survivor Series. So they put on Blood and Guts. And this, well, let me tell you, this card in general, obviously with the 2 Blood and Guts matches, this was a pay-per-view. This is one of those things where, like, it is kind of strange how we have to chronologicalize everything in the world of wrestling. We normally do it with pay-per-views because that's where, it's a pay-per-view. That's where the major matches happen. But I mean, for chronological sense, this was a pay-per-view that happened on Wednesday night, if not better than a pay-per-view, in the sense that it wasn't 5 hours long. So they were within the somewhat time constraints of Dynamite.
It would have been 5.5 hours long.
Yeah, so it was great. That's why I love this more than Full Gear. Like, I was like, you're not going to top what you did at Blood and Guts at Full Gear, because you had a 2.5 hour event with essentially 4 matches, really 2 main matches.
Do you like the 3 matches?
I mean, the matches were, I mean, the Hangman and Page match was a good, entertaining match. That was fine. That's one of those ones that's coming in and out. But I made sure
there's only 3. There was the men's and women's Blood and Guts.
Correct. Yes, FTR. They did a segment with them and things like that with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. But the Blood and Guts matches, they both delivered. We saw our first AEW version of a Blood and Guts match, a War Games match, if you will. They delivered in the sense of, again, watching AEW every single week is not something I always do. Sometimes I lose track. I'm not going to lie. When they had all 10 women in there was 1 or 2 women that I had to remind myself, who was that again in the War Games match? But I think the idea is it gave everybody, it does what I wish AEW would do more of, and it kind of made it in a condensed package so I could catch up. Last year, I remember at Full Gear, they did this. They made a 10-minute vignette about all the matches at Full Gear, why they were happening, in the November Rain music video. It was great because it let me catch up, let me know who the players are and why we're involved. And I think War Games did that essentially, right? We know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are based on the teams they're on, right? And then we get all the women together, we get all the men together, so we're not just watching a bunch of singles women's matches and tag team women's matches and wondering who's good, who's bad, who's with who. We got kind of a lot of people together in one night. Quick, condensed package. It was ultra bloody. Women and men's match included Darby Allin going through a flaming table in his match, getting thrown by Pac. At the end of the night, it was Kyle O'Reilly getting Jon Moxley to submit inside the War Games, the Blood and Guts cage, if you will. Overall, I think this was a great, punch up for AEW in the sense of, same with Raw, right? Raw ratings last week were horrible. SmackDown ratings have been horrible. People have been talking about how they're trending downwards. This was that blip to go, well, hold on a minute, we got a heartbeat. And not saying it's going to make me a lot more interested in Full Gear, but it's going to make me maybe a little more interested in watching Dynamite next week and following up with it. And just the idea that it helps you, if you've been out of the product, to just watch this and be like immediately caught up. What do you think of the idea of WWE? Because, I mean, they did this with obviously the Netflix debut and other things like that. What do you like about the idea, or think about the idea of, once in a while, pro wrestling companies having events in where they kind of say, let's pretend no one's ever seen this before tonight?
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great way to expose maybe casual fans. I'm a very casual AEW fan. I mean, that's an honest take. I mean, I'm not watching the product as much as I watch WWE. So those type of shows like we just had are good. I think they're good ways to kind of drag somebody back into the product. Like you said, well, I might watch Dynamite now next week, and that's, I think those are good. But what AEW does too much is they do too much, because sometimes they'll do something like this and then they oversaturate it, and then it just ruins the whole thing.
Well, they do too much in the sense of they have too many special Dynamites. I think that's definitely for sure.
That's what I mean. They over like this type of style, like almost like a televised, PLE per se, pay-per-view. Like, you could do this, every quarter, of the year. Do it every quarter of the year. That's cool. But like what AEW seems to do is, if they find something that works, it's like they just kind of run into a brick wall every single time and hope for the same result. And it's that's what
I mean. WWE does that too. That's why we're going to our 5th War Games in a row now here for Survivor Series until we really run out of ideas and have to switch it up
here's
again.
the thing, though. AEW doesn't have as much traction. I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, hold on. Let me get now. You can pretty much confirm that Chris Jericho is going to WWE. I don't know if you heard his recent comments, but he called TNA the number 2, not AEW. I don't know if you caught that. But
I will say this much, though, for anybody out there who thinks TNA is the number 2, if you watched Impact this past week, which was Full Sail University, a lot of people like get on crowds. And yeah, you know what? Blood and Guts, they only had 4,000 people in the Greensboro Coliseum, which is a very big venue. So they only had 4,000 people for their Dynamite taping, and they'll have only 1,000 and 2,000 people on occasion. But this week, they were at Full Sail University, TNA was, and a lot of the shots we're showing empty seats. And I don't mean empty bleachers. I don't mean empty upper deck. I mean, they probably had it set up for like 500 people. And it was half, maybe like they were struggling to fill that. We're talking like floor seats, at like rows and rows of seats on the floor by the entranceway
hey,
that were empty.
I'll just remind you and I were there a few months back for Slammiversary.
Oh, they can deliver for a pay-per-view. And I think that's the thing. That's why I hate all this what's number 2 and what's number 3 and what's number 1 nonsense. Listen, all these companies can deliver when it comes to pay-per-views, right? AEW, yeah, they get 1,000 for a Dynamite, but they can get 15,000 for a pay-per-view. All right, they're not setting attendance records with 8,000.
The problem
like
is, though, AEW does not really. Their storylines are not great. Like TNA actually has better storylines these days. Like that's the guys
they do, and they currently do. I agree with you there. They have more of that WWE kind of storyline going. I guess the thing is though, you got to make. I'm in favor of TNA's progress. I'm not saying that they're number 2.
And let's not worry about the ratings either, because we are getting to that last quarter of the year where the holiday season is starting to kick into full gear. There you go. You like that one, full gear. But the ratings are going to go down because people are going to be traveling. They're going to be doing different things. So like I don't like to talk about ratings during this time of year because there's so many different festivities going on. Families are going to get together. Like I'm going to be doing things. You're going to be doing things. It's that time of year where people aren't going to sit there and put on Netflix or put on one of the Turner stations and watch AEW, or watch TNA. Like it's the ratings to me at this time of year. It's I don't make a big deal out of it. I don't do the same thing in summertime too.
What time of year do you think ratings should be peak?
For me personally, I would say probably right after the holidays, because people are going to stay in more because they spent a lot of money, traveling and gift giving and things like that, and they've spent their money on their family or with their family during the holidays. So a lot of people that first quarter of the year they're trying to recoup the money they spent. At least me being a family person myself, have family of 4, like. You're recouping your money, so you're kind of keeping things closer to the vest, which means you're probably going to sit in front of a TV more often during that first quarter of the year because, and here's the thing. A lot of people have, I'm not going down the financial, realm of it, but people rack up a lot of credit card debt during the holidays. So this is the perfect time where they go home and focus on that. You can do it easy with WWE
and their ticket prices. You can do it real easy with that. I can tell you that.
You are kidding. You can get a lot of, unfortunately, you're going to see a lot of people in a lot of debt because of what WWE is doing, because people want to go see these things. And until people take a stand and say, no, we're not doing that, they're going to keep jacking the price up. That's just the way it is.
Well, I will say when it comes to AEW, obviously their ticket prices aren't outrageous or anything like that. And as for the people who say that they're not number 2, I don't really know what the argument is, because again, whether you're number 2 or you're number 3, you're still not the WWE, right? And it doesn't matter which one's number 2 or number 3, because to be honest with you, I guess we're different people, because we're pro wrestling fans and we're not just the internet wrestling community. Yeah. But whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, if it's in my town and it's an affordable price and it's professional wrestling, I'm going to check it out. I'm not going to Full Gear because I'm going to a wrestling show later that night, and I kind of wish I was going to Full Gear. The wrestling show I'm going to, I'm not saying I'm not looking forward to it. It should be a good show, star-studded itself. Don't know why they picked the exact same day that AEW's got all the stuff going on. But I would be going to Full Gear, and that's irregardless of me knowing exactly what's going on. That's just because a wrestling show is in my area. I'm going to check it out. Like SmackDown, right? we're recording this on the day that SmackDown is in Albany. If I wasn't literally busy today doing something else after this podcast is done, I would be going to that, even though
Honestly,
SmackDown isn't the best.
We probably wouldn't be recording today because we probably would both be en route to the show.
So, if it wasn't, for that, I would be on my way. So when it comes to going to wrestling, I'm in favor of watching all wrestling. What I watch more than others, or what I watch on TV more than others, obviously, that's where the 1 and 2 and thing comes into play. But hey, I would never. AEW showed us this week at Blood and Guts that it is a better world that we live in, that they exist, and that their product is out there, and we have that to watch on national television, global cable television, than to not exist. I don't know why people would say it's better that they don't exist. I don't know why, right? WCW, as bad as they were, right? WWE and wrestling was better because they existed, regardless of some of the crap they put out there.
100%.
So it's better they exist, and they showed this week with a pretty good show.